Hi everyone, and welcome to this video on the Ancestry.com DNA test. And also, I'm going to bring up the MyHeritage DNA site. Now, this morning when I signed on, I got a pleasant surprise here on September 9th, 2020. And you can see it right up here on the top of the screen here. It says, coming soon, we'll be updating Ancestry DNA ethnicity results to be even more precise in the coming weeks. So let's check that out and see what it actually means here. All right, with greater detail than ever before, Ancestry DNA keeps getting better. DNA science is always about evolving, and so are we. That's why we're proud to announce our latest ethnicity estimate. Pretty cool here. It looks our most precise breakdown yet. In each update, we continue to add new regions, making your results even more precise. And that's what's new. See what's new, rather, using the interactive map below. And as we can see, here's an interactive map. You're going to be able to click and find out more about where people have tested very similar to the way your DNA is. And very cool. It seems like Ancestry is doing this probably, it's averaging out to about once a year that they're having a major update on the DNA results, which is awesome. And let's dive into that right now. I know I've made several videos on this, but here's my September 2020 update for Ancestry. Now, this is before they're fine-tuning their results, so to speak. And the last time I got some updated results of, my Ireland and Scotland, as you can see here, 80%, 17% England, Wales, and Northwestern Europe. And one other region, which Sweden, 3%. So that was as of the last estimate. And as I was saying in a previous video, I did some research on relatives from the 1600s that left from Sweden in a boat. They traveled across the seas in the 1600s and ended up in what would become Delaware, right up the Delaware River here under South Jersey, and in between the state that we now call Delaware, and right up to the Wilmington area. That was a Dutch settlement in the mid to early 1600s, well before American, well before William Penn made it to this area of the country. And that's the interesting part. The boat did leave from Sweden. Now, my relatives aboard that boat apparently were of Finnish descent. And even though the boat came out of Sweden, and I may have Sweden type relatives in my DNA, I popped over to MyHeritage website the other day, which, as you see on the screen, has great security. It's advising me to sign in on a 2 authenticated coverage here, which I like. And now I'm into that site, myheritage.com, which I uploaded my ancestry results into MyHeritage. And let's go over to the ethnicity estimate in that company. It's very close to what I have on Ancestry, but they interpret it differently because they have a lot more European tests that they've done. And here's what they come up with on me. North and West Europe, they're calling 98%. So this area, 91, this area, they're calling Finnish. And that's the interesting thing to me. Finland would encompass even this area of Sweden as well. And the interesting part is, I think my relatives, even though they had moved to Sweden, were actually from Finland originally. So it looks like MyHeritage has some good results that come back to it. And they're calling it 6.3%, so a little higher than what the test over at Ancestry resulted in. Okay, here's the Irish and English part of my Ancestry, and note they're not quite as good excuse me, as Ancestry, yet in the sense that they're not narrowing down the individual counties like is shown here in the Ancestry results, Ancestry.com. They've done extensive testing as well over in the Ireland and Northern Ireland area, and now they've gotten so many tests back that they can actually tell you which counties, and in some cases towns, your best matches are. And in my case, Roscommon and Northern Roscommon, and I believe Strokestown here is where my great-great-grandmother was born. So great kudos to Ancestry.com for that. And that's why I say each company has its own goodness about it, so to speak. And even though it's slightly different, one company's picking up something that another couldn't, and you're the winner. You're becoming the person that's getting the best of both worlds, so to speak. And here's some featured matches that are related to me that are also from this area of Ireland. These people here. So they happen to be fourth cousins and probably related to, an area or a time frame that, goes way, way back in time in Ireland here, when a lot of people were leaving this country because they couldn't get food. The famous potato famine, as told about right here, the Great Famine of 1825 to 1850. Read a little bit about it for you. Here says the Irish potato famine. From the poor life went from difficult to impossible. In County Leitrim, weavers lost jobs due to mechanization and the linen industry, similar to what was happening in America with cotton had been grown in the fields. It was picked and processed a lot by hand. Slowly but surely over time, that became unnecessary due to different machinery that was being developed at the time. So folks that used to do that were now not required to do that anymore. There was not a real job for them. Here back in Ireland, potatoes and dairy often made up the diet of the poor, which made potato crop failures in the 1840s devastating, especially as Irish-grown wheat, oats, and barley were exported to England. So it was a trickle-down effect, so to speak, and a lot of those people went from Ireland and took boats to the New World, America, the developing United States, menial jobs, in some cases servants, and whatever they could get, however they could get to America and, other points as well. Australia, wherever there was food and opportunity, so to speak, they had to leave their land. So interesting education as well that you get with this Ancestry offering. Let's pop back to MyHeritage for a second. Now you can see not a whole lot of things to read on here similar to Ancestry, but there's something that you can play. Let's see what it says. Ready to explore your ethnicity? Yeah, I guess so. Let's go. So a nice little put together display there with some music on each spot that they've come up with. Interesting, 2% Italian now, and no other spot does that read 2% Italian. So it's got my interest up. Maybe real old DNA, going back several hundred years. But it's very interesting nonetheless. So that's a quick update here. I'm waiting for the new ethnicity update from Ancestry.com to drop. As I've said all along on these videos, I think you get the best bang for your buck with Ancestry. It's certainly the most widely tested company out there, and in the next coming weeks that'll be rolling out to people here on the Ancestry portion, DNA results of Ancestry.com. So very cool. I can't wait to see how this changes, and it did change a little bit the last time, so I'm interested to see how it'll change again. Well, thanks for watching this video. If you have any questions or concerns or comments, please leave them below, and I'll be